Right now, there's about 10,000 videos breaking down this World Cup. Who's going to win? Who's overrated? Which group's a death trap? Every single one of them is staring at the field. I want to turn around and look at the building behind it. Because here's a number that ought to stop you cold. In 4 years, one organization pulled in $7.5 billion from this tournament, mostly tax free. And it doesn't own a single team, a single stadium, or contract a single player. It calls itself a nonprofit. Let me say that again. The richest show in all of sports is run by a nonprofit. So today we're not talking about the game. We're talking about the machine that prints money off of the game and what it can teach the rest of us about where the real money actually hides. Let's get to it. First, let's clear something up because almost nobody says it plainly. FIFA, Federation Internationale de Football Association, is not a company. It's an association, a club. Legally, it's a nonprofit registered in Zurich, Switzerland, with a couple hundred member countries. And it does not own the things you'd assume it owns. It doesn't own the clubs, it doesn't own the players, it doesn't own the stadiums, it doesn't even own the rules of the game. Those belong to a whole separate body. So what does it own? One thing: the World Cup itself, the tournament, the rights to the single most watched event on planet Earth. That's it. That's their whole hand. And as you're about to see, that one card beats everybody else's entire deck. Now here's how the machine works. That 7.5 billion in the Qatar cycle, a record by the way, comes from basically four taps. Tap one is the big one. That's selling the right to put the World Cup on television. That alone was about $3.5 billion, damn near the whole pie. And tap two is sponsorships. Coca-Cola, Adidas, Visa, the usual gang. Call it another 1.8 billion or so. And tap three is the licensing. The jerseys, the video games, the Lego sets, about $750 million more. And the rest of it comes from tap four, tickets and hospitality. If you add that all up, a single month of football generated more money than a lot of actual countries' GDP. And get this, of the entire 4-year haul, the Qatar tournament by itself was about 83%. One event, 4 weeks, most of the money. Now here's the part that makes people's eyes twitch. Remember, FIFA's a non-profit, so Switzerland treats it like one, exempt from federal tax a normal business of that size would regularly pay. It finished that Qatar cycle sitting on close to $4 billion in reserves. $4 billion in the bank at a nonprofit. One Swiss lawmaker put it just about as well as anybody else could. He said he can't understand how anyone calls this a nonprofit and that nobody on the street buys it either. Now here's the move that tells you everything. When a country bids to host the World Cup, FIFA makes them agree up front to exempt FIFA from taxes inside that country too. Now, read that twice. You want to host? Fine, but you don't get to tax us. Come on. FIFA doesn't just play the game, FIFA writes the terms before the game even starts. So if FIFA's raking it in, somebody's footing the bill, right? Well, that somebody is the host. Take Qatar. By most counts, Qatar spent somewhere north of $200 billion getting ready for that World Cup. Now, to be fair, and we always want to play fair on this channel, most of that was a whole national makeover. A new metro, an airport, roads, 100-something hotels, stuff Qatar wanted, whether or not they were going to host the World Cup. The stadiums and the direct staging were only around 10 billion. But sit with the math for a second. The host laid out roughly 10 billion just to put the thing on. FIFA chipped in about 1.75 billion. Okay, that's great, but FIFA walked away with 7.5. And the heaviest part of that bill wasn't paid in money. To build all of it, Qatar brought in hundreds of thousands of migrant workers, and human rights groups documented brutal conditions and a real human toll. That is not a footnote. That's the actual price of the show. And FIFA didn't pay it. FIFA owns the crown jewel, and everyone else carries the cost and the risk. Which brings us to the morning it all blew open, May 2015. Swiss police walk into a luxury hotel in Zurich at dawn and start escorting soccer executives out, some of them hiding behind bedsheets. Hours later, the U.S. Justice Department drops a 47-count indictment, $150 million in bribes stretched out over 2 solid decades. Racketeering, same law they use on the mob. 2 generations of officials, prosecutors said, had turned the beautiful game into a racket. President Sepp Blatter was gone within days. Now remember how I said Swiss associations don't even have to publish their books? For years, that's exactly how it ran. The most valuable event on earth, governed by an organization that answered to just about nobody. Again, to be fair, FIFA will tell you correctly that it pumps billions back into the game. Youth programs, fields, federations in 200 countries that could never afford them otherwise. And that is real. The money does grow the sport. But that's also exactly the point. When you own the one bottleneck the whole world has to pass through, you get to decide where the billions flow and how much sticks to your hands on the way through. So here's what this means for the rest of us, and it's a whole lot bigger than soccer. Look at what FIFA actually is. It doesn't kick a ball, it doesn't build a stadium, it doesn't train a player or sell tickets with its own 2 hands. The players do the playing, the hosts do the paying, and the workers do the building. And FIFA? FIFA owns the toll booth that everyone has to drive through. That's the whole secret. The money and the leverage almost never sit with the hardest worker on the field. They sit with whoever owns the thing that can't be gone around. The rights, the platform, the relationship, the bottleneck. So in your own work, your own business, your own life, ask yourself the uncomfortable question. Are you the player, the host, or the toll booth? Because you can be the most talented person in the building and still be the one left holding the bill. Don't just be labor for someone else's crown jewel. Go find or go build your own toll booth. The World Cup is the greatest show on earth. Just remember who actually owns the show. Okay, so next time we're going to go a whole lot lighter. The story of a company nobody could remember that bet everything on the dumbest sounding idea in the history of advertising. One annoyed duck. If you want to know how that saved them, subscribe and stick around. We'll see you then.